What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Stocks to Watch. And we have an eventful week coming ahead. So, number one is geopolitical instability continues to linger around for the markets. Now, North Korea and South Korea have suddenly started to escalate their tensions across the borders due to apparently a drone intervention issue, which is not very big right now, but we don't know how things unfold towards the next, towards the start of the next week. That's one. Number two is interesting numbers which will be looked after the D street. So number one is I think inflation numbers, and number two are earnings. Now there are over 145 earnings coming up this week, which includes heavyweights like Axis Bank, Reliance Industries, I think HDFC Bank, Infosys, HCL Tech, Nestle, and I think even Mahindra and Mahindra. So there are a lot of numbers that are going to be coming in. And I was reading it somewhere that almost 48% of the stocks that impact Nifty, meaning that from the overall weightage that Nifty has, about 48% of that weightage is going to report earnings. And that means there's going to be significant volatility coming in, especially from the index front and the large cap front. Apart from that, there are a lot of mid cap names also that are reporting earnings. So it's going to be a very, very eventful, very crucial, and a very data driven week. And so far, everything's looking good, but you don't really know on how things unfold because TCS, one of the heavyweights to report earnings, had muted earnings and they didn't really do very well post earnings. So again, it's going to be a mixed bag, but I'm expecting majority of the earnings to be good. Now, when it comes to Reliance, I think which is the biggest heavyweight, I think the bonus issue is what's going to be the talking point for D Street. Any which ways, let's start with the episode. Before I start, please make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and drop in your comments on how you feel about the episode. So let's get started. And the first stock on my list is Angel One. Now I have a limited list, as you can see on my screen, because I couldn't really find a lot of A plus names. Only these were the names that I would be slightly interested in taking my trades. Now Angel One is the first one. Now we discussed this last time also, and Angel One is setting up really nice from a in a base formation, contraction around the moving average. And this also has earnings tomorrow, which is Monday. There are earnings now. Yes, there is an overhang about derivatives trading, etc., but I think all of that is already discounted for in Angel One. And I think margin expansion is what's going to start happening because I think the industry leader Zerodha is about to announce an increase in brokerage charges, and I think then all the other brokerages will follow suit. So I think that's what's going to happen now. If you look at the actions in other brokerage companies like Nuvama, JM Financial, Edelweiss, and even IIFL Securities, they've started outperforming the markets. So I'm pretty bullish on this one. Now, a mandatory disclosure: we already have a position in Angel One, so please do your own due diligence before you take any position. So Angel One is the first one in the list. Second one is HCL Tech, which is a textbook consolidation base breakout trade. Another one which has earnings on Monday, which is tomorrow. So again, although technicals are setting up really nicely, I think earnings are going to be a driving factor on how the stock performs. Now the brokerages are very, very bullish on HCL Tech's numbers coming in tomorrow, with PAT numbers coming in somewhere with the growth of about 10 to 15%, which is a good healthy number as compared to what we saw in TCS. The third one on the list is an auto OEM name, and that is Motherson Sumi. Now, Motherson Sumi has been trading around two pocket pivots. The stock has been into a range now, not something which is A plus, but I think there could be something cooking over here. Next up, we've got Adani Wilmar, and now this is purely a value demand zone kind of a play. Stock is trading at attractive areas, and the risk reward kind of favors everything. So Adani Wilmar is trading near the areas of demand. That's how my trade would look like if at all I'm playing it. 4-5% of stop, and then targeting 10-15% move in about 1 or 2 weeks. So that's what I'm looking with Adani Wilmar. Next up, we've got Nykaa. Now Nykaa is an interesting one, and the reason for that is the festive season is coming up, so there's some cyclicality factor coming in. Apart from that, if you look at the hourly order block, it is kind of trading in that same range, and I think we've been talking about Nykaa for quite a long time now. The only trigger for me in Nykaa is if it starts trading around 196. I think I'm going to be a buyer. So that's about Nykaa. Next up, we've got a BSE stock, which is Affordable robotics and automation. Now, this is a small cap, rather a micro cap name. Structure is really, really nice. Stock was up 10% yesterday. And I think there is a lot happening here now. Similar structure. I think if you are a regular watcher, I think we did discuss this in Usha Martin, and this is what happened. Similar structure happened in Sonam Limited. I'll just show that to you, and even that exploded like anything. So this is Sonam Limited. Even so that was the structure over here in Sonam. I think this is where we were tracking Sonam, and then it just exploded out of nowhere. So I think it's going to be interesting. Next up, we've got Orient Limited. Now this one is really, really nice. Now this is from a positional standpoint, I think one of the perfect names. Now obviously, since it's positional, I'm going to literally be playing this in such a way. I'm going to keep a 10% stop, aiming for a 30-40% move before the end of the year, and I think that's how I'm going to be liking to play Orient Press. Right now, this is into the packaging business. Now EPAC Durables raised their guidance, and that is good for all packaging companies. So I think that's also an interesting one. Next up, we've got Manak Aluminium, another microcap name, and the base is really nice. Metals have been a little on the bullish side as compared to the overall markets. If you look at Jindal Steel, if you look at JSW Steel, they're trading at premiums. So I think this one is also going to be an interesting one. Next up, we've got Barbecue Nation. Now we've seen what Sapphire is doing, we've seen what Devyani is doing, and I think Barbecue Nation is looking pretty set to move out of this base. Similar structure in Sapphire Foods, which is something like this. I'll just try to show you. This is Sapphire Foods India, and this is also in a similar kind of a structure, not exactly the same as Barbecue, but I think I'm going to be keeping a radar on that. Next up, we've got Tips Films, and this is also looking interesting. Another micro cap, small cap name, and I think it has got a very, very miniature kind of a pocket pivot in, and I think with the volume drying up, I think this could be an interesting one. One of my favorite names from the list is a recently listed IPO name, an IPO based structure in First Cry. And just look at the way it is setting up. I think perfectly fine. And I think we just need like a small, narrow range consolidation for this to start moving higher. So I think this is one of my favorite names. And then we've also got Ashoka Buildcon, which is reacting from this area of demand, has like this small, tight little base. And I think this is also poised to do really well. Last but not the least, we've got Max India Limited, which is perfectly setting up for a move outside this range, and there's lots of liquidity until 320. So I think Max can easily move 20-25% without any problems. So these are the names that I'm basically focusing on. As far as Nifty and Bank Nifty is concerned, I think banks are a little more bullish than Nifty overall. But as I said, this is earnings week, so many earnings coming up. There's going to be impact all across the spectrum of broader market indices, including Nifty, Bank Nifty. So I think that's going to play its part as well. So it's really, really hard to say what's going to happen in the markets because it's largely going to be driven by earnings. I don't really think technicals are going to play a big role, especially in the frontline indices. But I think mid cap names, we might see a lot of earnings beat. Now, it's, as I said, it's a mixed bag. You've got North Korea, South Korea, problems coming up. Middle East tensions have not settled in. And then we've got a bunch of earnings. So I think it's just going to be very tricky. So what I would recommend is that you should trade a little on the lower side in terms of position sizing and just wait for all of these events to kind of unfold. Monday being one of the most important days of the week because of the earnings that are scheduled for tomorrow. So that's it from my side. I hope you liked this video. If you did, do drop in a like, drop in a comment, and do make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am going to see you tomorrow. And until then, I wish you all the best for your trading week. Thank you. Bye-bye and take care.